The Sabres warpath got back on track last night, and we couldn't be happier. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and it can't be overstated how good these Sabres have been since the start of the season. For context, the Sabres were in last place in the Eastern Division to start the year off. Last place. It's obviously bad. But teams don't typically move through the standings like that. They don't typically go, there's some shuffling in the very early part of the season, right? In every league, there's some shuffling. But you don't typically establish yourself in last place, in just clear last place, and then jump to first in your conference. Now, the Sabres are currently tied for first. There's still more games to play, obviously. But right now, the Sabres only need 7. They need 7 points to clinch a playoff spot. And they're not just fighting for home ice advantage. At the moment, they have home ice advantage, and right now they're defending it. That is a massive turnaround. If you're last place in the standings as the season starts and as it starts to move forward, you could, there's people who turn it around and go fight for a wild card spot or maybe second place in your division. The Sabres are fighting to break the franchise points record. They're at 98 right now, and they're fighting to break the franchise points record. That's absurd. And you're seeing it night in and night out. Now, the Sabres did lose a couple of games here in their home ice stretch. But the way they're losing games is also important. The Sabres aren't, there was one loss they rolled over, but the Sabres aren't typically just rolling over. When they lose games, they're taking it into overtime, into shootout, and still getting a point out of it. Even in their losses, which have been few in this stretch, they're still getting points out of it. What does that tell you about a team? Well, for one thing, let's take yesterday's shootout win as an example. They got down 2-0 against the Kraken, which, side note, the Kraken is a ridiculous name for a team. Who came up with that? I know people will be like, oh, but the Kraken is cool. No. It's trying too hard, Seattle. Seattle Kraken is trying too hard. It's just no. But anyways, the Sabres got down 2-0 against the Kraken. And a 2-0 hole in hockey is nothing to sniff at. I know the Sabres have been scoring bunches of points, but still, scoring a metric ton of points in hockey, it's not common and it's not something you can rely on. So they're down 2-0. So what do? Well, first off, Rasmus Dahlin, the captain, scores his 100th point and scores a goal. And then Peyton Krebs, gets another one. And all of a sudden it's tied not going into the third, in the third. And they take it to overtime. So the Sabres being down 2-0, came back, took control of the game, forced overtime, and then played to the shootout. And in the shootout, they abused the Kraken goalie. I don't know the Kraken goalie's name. I apologize for that. But they abused the Kraken goalie. First with an absolute beauty from Tage Thompson, where he just sent the goaltender to the ice and then went bar down. Beauty. Beautiful. And then Jack Quinn this highlight reel will play a lot because Jack Quinn has a ridiculous shootout percentage. But it's also hysterical. He comes in, sweeps his way into the goaltender, and the goaltender wisely, I think, in my mind, challenges him. Basically, dives out and forces Jack Quinn to kind of leave the ice, almost go airborne. And the puck, and he gets the shot off. It looks like he gets the shot off while he's Supermaning. And the puck just kind of drifts in and goes in. And that's it. That's the shootout. Sabres win. They get 2 points. They're at 98. That's a team that found itself in a hole early, never panicked, got the goals they needed, and came out of the game with 2 points. That tells you that team is disciplined, that team is incredibly well coached, and that team is deeply, deeply talented. Now, there's a long way to go in the year still. A lot can change. The Sabres are in a loaded Eastern Conference, and they are fighting for first place right now. Everybody's, they're tied for first place right now, and there's plenty of people below them in the standings chomping at their heels. The Western Conference is a little bit of a pillow fight right now. But the Sabres have a real opportunity here. The Sabres have a real opportunity to go from a laughingstock the last 14 years to fighting for the Stanley Cup and coming in as the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Okay, this podcast has been sort of rambling. It's been long-winded, and it's been because I am having trouble finding the words to describe how good this team has been, and good for the city. Buffalo is a sports town and a long-suffering one. Whether it's the Bills constantly finding new ways to crush us in playoff losses, or, having previously before the Josh Allen era, having the longest playoff drought in professional sports history. Yeah, we lived through that. To the Sabres, who were good in the early 2000s, and then went through a 14-year playoff drought themselves. Now, if you know Buffalo sports, there are other teams as well. Like the Buffalo Bandits are currently 3-time world champions, and they are more than 3-time world champions, but most recently they went back to back to back, but it's indoor lacrosse, and unfortunately nobody pays attention to that except for me. If you don't pay attention to indoor lacrosse, you really should. It's a hell of a game. But the Sabres are in position here to really do something special. And I'll be watching very, very closely. Because if the Sabres bring home a Stanley Cup, improbably bring home a Stanley Cup, that would, the morale boost that would give the city of Buffalo would be unprecedented. Either the morale boost that it would give the city of Buffalo, or, city of Buffalo might just burn itself to the ground out of joy. Who knows? It could go either way. And I'm excited for either result. But, anyways, those are my thoughts for a Monday morning. Sabres are on the warpath. They have certified themselves as a wagon. I'm looking forward to it. I'm on the wagon. If you're not on the wagon, why aren't you? get on board. There's lots of room, and we'll share. Just don't order ranch. Can't recommend it. Anyways, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.